cancellations and reschedules and whatnot. Whereas now she's getting a lot more of them.
True.
Yeah, so she's kind of just like having to do more of the choppy and changing and figuring out whether or not she needs to go into like block her clients into a shorter period of time or whatever. Yeah. Like she's still busy, but she's just now noticing it. I think as well, like coming into Easter, just because, well, going into Easter and then coming out of Easter just with people being fucking busy or away and everything.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we could probably go down that route too. And that's why this year I don't want it to get to that point.
Yep.
And we're kind of going like, oh shit.
Yep.
Because it will be because she's done no advertising.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Zero advertising.
Yeah, 100%.
And that could easily happen to us as well.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think like for us, I also said because we're growing and now, you know, we've got 2 carts and then people see us around, they also might assume that we've just got plenty of work. So that if someone does touch base with them trying to pick up a job off of them, like off of our normal bookings, we might lose that.
Yeah, hard.
You know, no work is guaranteed for you. Like you can have a relationship, but a relationship is a relationship. If you do not service that relationship, it's pretty much, it's up for grabs.
Hard.
You know, like it's the pricing side of things. I think I told you maybe with Alex, like, you know, the work isn't guaranteed. Like just because you're my mate, like you need to put in effort. You know, you got to show me you want it. And I had my other mate who put in for it, and he was eager as, and he put in, and then he even lowered the price for me. So I was like, of course he's going to get it. Like versus the guy who just doesn't want to look over it and make a thing, make up a quote.
Yeah.
Like I was like, come on, bro, 75 grand worth of work.
Yeah, hard.
Do you want it?
Do you want it? Yeah.
You know, like it's not granted to you.
Nah.
I probably would have given it to him if he fucking just put in the effort. But like that's how I am.
Yeah.
You know, like with anything, it's just you got to earn it.
Yeah, hard.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's because a lot of the time, like early on anyway, I think it was very word of mouth.
Yeah.
And so like she didn't really need to generate at that point in time, but she didn't. And so now it's kind of catching up now because there needs to be a little bit more, okay, how do I actually generate the new client? I say that's the nature of business. You got to learn that, got to take it on the chin. And
well, they say sometimes actually starting off too well is actually a disservice to you because you have zero building blocks on how to acquire a customer. And just because you made that seamless transition, I am on her case going like, the gravy train is not always fucking going to be running if we, because she just wants to cruise. And I said to her, there's zero cruising in business. Like you are going one way or the other. Like you're fucking going down or you're fucking up. And you can, like you try find companies that can stay there. It's pretty hard. Like I think you shouldn't be going there because then if you're plateauing and staying at the same level, that actually means you're getting worse.
Yeah, because everyone else is getting better.
Yeah, everyone else is getting better, but then you have more experience, but 2-3 years down the line, you've not implementing anything that you've learned. Like you've clearly, you know, when you're growing at first, you make heaps of mistakes. So that's why you should keep growing because you fix your mistakes.
About people that stay in the same line of work for a long period of time, you know, like, if you've been a 10-year serviceman to a company, like, unless you've learned something and you've kind of climbed, you're actually almost worse off than the person coming in from the start because you've just been there and you haven't actually improved. And so, like, what better is that to the company as opposed to the person who's just, like, coming in and climbing the chain? Like, if you haven't learned anything in the past 10 years but you're in the same position, like...
They tend to not give you promotions.
No.
They tend to go, oh, yeah, well, he's a pretty efficient performer in that area. He hasn't come and nagged me for a promotion. They assume that you're happy to sit there or whatnot. But not only that, like they sometimes assume that you're not wanting, you know, like I could think of some people and I'm not going to say them, but it becomes apparent that you're just trying to do the bare minimum, turn up, earn your pay packet and then head home. You know, and I think a lot of workplaces need those people anyway as well.
Yeah.
But it's funny because they tend to be the ones that kick up a stink when the young ones come in who are hungry, eager, and make it. I had that when I was at Bite Barn. Like they make it apparent, you know, that they want to go somewhere. That's what I was like when I was young, when I was at Bite Barn. And old people were just they literally were like, "You're too young," sort of thing. And because of the previous employer's manager was Will, and he was young, and they were like, "Oh, we're not going down the young route again." And I was like, "Oh fuck!" So I ended up getting thrown into that basket with them, even though they were literally blocking me off. So when I went up to head office, when I said I wanted to get more experience and blah blah blah, went up there, they put me through a training program, and I knew every single bit. And then they were like, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, my manager told me that you said that you require me to get more experience doing X, Y, Z
all the other
tasks,
stuff,
so that he can give me a pay rise." And he's like, they were like, "No." Then there was two managers, like the regional manager and the national manager, and I was working with them for 4 days up in Auckland alongside of them. And then I told them that, and then they were like, "Okay, well, this is." Well, he told me that you fucking, and I was like, "Oh god, well, just you think someone's, but it's just like threatened, like in the seeing someone young and ambitious and bought a house before he did, and like all of that sort of stuff. It was just became, oh nah, fucking, I'm just gonna get in the way a little bit.
Barrier.
Yeah. Well, and I even called him out when I came back, and I was just like, "Well, you're the one who told me to go up there. They said that you requested me to get training." And he goes, "Oh, well, like, this is what they implied to me, blah, blah, blah." And I was just like, "Well, you could have," well, I said, one, you could have actually defended me. Could have said to them, "No, he's fucking the one who taught me how to do my job."
Yeah.
That's how it was. I applied for his position. Because I was too young, they didn't give it to me. And then they go, "Oh, but can you teach this guy?" Fuck you.
Especially because, like, there are companies, especially like government companies or government agencies and things like that, where councils, etc., where you have to almost go through, even if you've got the qualification, you almost need to do their version of the training in order to get the job. Like, I know Les Mills is similar, so you essentially still have to do a Les Mills
PT.
Yeah, PT
really?
course, even if you've got a bachelor's degree or anything like that. So even if you're qualified for the job, but you still need to go through their system to get it. And there are companies like that. But if you were the manager, you would know if your company's like that. And just to put someone through red tape, just to try and hold them back, when you know that the company's not like that.
Well, I even knew after, like, we were all good after that. I found a job, and it was quite hilarious because I ended up getting the opportunity to go into real estate.
Yep.
And then I told them, and they fast-tracked and back-paid my pay rise that I should have gone when I asked for it.
Yep.
Because they thought, we'll try keep him.
Yep.
And I was like, "Thanks, I'll take that pay increase, but I'm still leaving." It was still, I gave them quite a lot of heads up because I was doing my real estate papers. So that took me, I think, 3.5, 4 months.
Yep.
So it normally takes people 6 months.
Yeah.
So I told them when I was on my second to last papers, because I just did it all while I was working.
Yep.
And then they were kind of like, because I left it after with the pay rise thing.
Yep.
So they said they'll get it after that meeting, and then
didn't.
And then weeks went by, and then nothing happened. Then I hit them up about it, and then they said they'll give it to me. And then 2-3 weeks later, I got the opportunity. I mean, I was already in the middle of it, and then I said, "Oh well, I'm leaving in about 6 weeks anyway." And then they were like, "Oh, fucking running around," and then gave me the pay rise, and then offered another pay rise to stay, and then I just said no to that. I said, "I'll take that pay rise, and you can pay me
and
out,
you can
and
back
pay me that," because I went to that meeting, I went up and did the training specifically so that you could sign off the fucking pay rise. Yeah, but then after that, when I went into real estate, I went into Bite Bones, still mates with everyone. Put my business cards up there. Apparently, I left it there, and then when head office came down, they were like, "Oh, fucking, he's not going to do well." Blah blah blah. Like, they were like getting mad that I put my cards there.
It's such a tall poppy syndrome, eh? Like, far out.
Yeah.
Just sad.
Well, I guess they come from Auckland too, so it's really like that there. It's just competition or just New Zealand is really bad for it. I even right now, even right now, I'm having initial not wanting to say, I'm a millionaire. I can't fucking say I'm a millionaire. Like, I was just thinking about, all right, how do I fucking say, that's how big of a problem it is. And I can't go out there and be like an American. I fucking did this, I did that, because like in America, everyone's like, fucking, go. Over here, they're like, "Oh, you fucking think you're the man." I was just like, no, I'm just stating facts. Like, I'm worth I have more than $1 million of net worth, and I have $4 million of property.
Yep.
Like, I'm a millionaire, and then we have a business. So we're not even taking in the business into account, and that's turning over $750,000 a year. Like, it's just like, but I can't say that.
That's the thing, eh? Like, I think New Zealand culture does have to change around that. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I actually would have thought Auckland would have been better for it, more encompassing of like challenge and like props for, like, they understand it. Like, I even remember my brother going there and kind of like everyone's working up that kind of corporate ladder at that point. Whereas here, not many people are. I would expect it to be kind of like almost a little bit more American-like over there, or at least Australian-like over there.
In Auckland.
In Auckland, yeah.
Yeah, like I see what you're thinking, but they're still Kiwis,
it's
right?
Still Kiwi.
So they're all hustle, but then they kind of don't want others to do. Like, what do they say? Like, everyone's cheering for you just so as long as you don't do better than them.
Yeah.
So like, they're all your biggest fans until you're doing better than them.
Do it.
They're like, boo, Then they come in with the criticism. I wouldn't do that, bro. I was like, you can't do what I'm doing. Like, you haven't built up the foundation to be in the position that I am.
Yeah, hard.
And I have had to be pretty hard over the last few years. Like, people trying to give me advice, and as politely as I can say, I take it on as, okay, yeah, sweet. And like, zero importance to whatever you had to say to me, because you don't even live close to a life that
what I want.
Like, some of it can be pretty good advice.
Yep.
But if it's going against what I'm trying to do and whatnot, I'll be like, fuck, well, that's what you would do in my scenario, but you're not in my scenario. And then also you haven't, you probably, if you did that, you probably fail. You have zero experience in this. It's hard too, because I'm trying to get around people that are got the same experience as me and trying to achieve the same stuff. And I'm finding it very hard here in Hamilton. Like, there are a few, but I think they're very similar to me. Yeah. Just in our own lane, just head down.
Like, how do you see I was thinking about this the other day, so it'd be interesting on your perspective. Like, how do you see Hamilton and potentially New Zealand as a whole, but Hamilton in particular, I was thinking about, like, how do you see people getting ahead here in business? How do you see businesses getting ahead here?
I think, like, as weird as it sounds, because I'm kind of anti-government, like, I think the government needs to get involved in the aspect of making business loans same entry-level price point as home loans. Because right now, like, even though it's my sector, I think home loans tend to be favorable, and then that's the New Zealand way to get ahead. Like, I'm doing it because I have experience. Property. So getting home loans and property development, and like, we're all just selling, like, there's the guy from Keep the Change, he says, we're all just selling boxes of sticks to each other. And that's our economy, and then plus a bit of dairy, and but like, and as funny as I guess, as conflicting as that is for me, because like, that's my narrative, like, because that's how I have built up my wealth.
Of course.
I don't think I have a lot of experience. So I kind of am competing against a whole bunch of amateurs. Do you know what I mean? Versus if we made it easier for people to start up a business and then reward them for employing people, like, so not just a business that you implement fucking 9 AI bot chats and stuff like that, and you're drop shipping, blah, blah, blah. Not that sort of business. Businesses that are filling out commercial space, that are employing staff, that are feeding mouths. Like, they should get some sort of, I guess, incentive, or like, they shouldn't get taxed as much, or at least their business loans aren't wiping them dry, because then it becomes like, oh, well, I want to have a punt at this. And like, some people have some amazing ideas, but they have that barrier of like, if they want to go and get a loan, because some people have multi-million-dollar ideas, but it takes funding to get that up. And then when you're slapped, because business loans are roughly like double, about 12-11% for a business loan. And then you have to pay them back in a shorter period. So like, when you get these home loans, it's like, kind of like, you're kind of forced into, that's your ticket out of the rat race, like. That's my thoughts with this. We need to change our culture. So I think it's probably got a lot to do with that tall poppy syndrome part of business as well. Like, you probably have had moments where you've wanted to kind of be like, yeah, I've been killing it, but you can't say it to others, and then it's weird. It's a weird phenomenon I think we have in New Zealand, and they talk about it a lot.
Interesting you say that. Like, I actually have both.
Yeah.
So both when we're doing well,
yeah,
and when we're not doing well. Like,
I thought you were.
I feel like it's like everyone assumes that because you're in business, you're fucking killing it, and they don't understand like you have highs and you also have lows. And I found myself like, especially to start with, and this was probably last year, like struggling to say, oh no, like things are actually tough at the moment. You know, we're having to we got gaps, we've got to find some more clients. And I struggled to say that. And then at a certain point, I just fucking owned it. And I was like, it is what it is. Like, why am I trying to sugarcoat either way? Like, it's not up to me to fucking make them feel better about having a business. And it's like, I know that they are projecting, but not in a way that it's at all like sinister or anything towards me. So I'm just like, it just is what it is. Like, well, it's fucking tough.
Yeah. The guy from Keep the Change, he talks about it. Only 90% of New Zealand companies make under $1 million a year, like turnover.
Yep.
So that means there's only 1 in every 10 business owner is actually making $1 million. And then even out of those, I think only 50% of them are like highly profitable.
Yeah.
Most of them are just getting by, turning over, and like their profit margins are quite low.
Yep.
So when people go and think, oh yeah, you're a business owner, this is how he describes it. It's like, oh yeah, you must be rolling. You can safely assume 9 out of 10, that guy's not rolling.
They're not. Yeah.
It's like, that's a safe bet. Yep. So, but New Zealand has the problem. Like everyone is, and it's like, it's a weird, it's like a self-feeding machine that they want you to go and work for someone else, but like still someone has to own that business. But so then if we average Joe blogs can't own that business, who owns it? The big corporations. So
which is funny, right? Like, and you're not playing the same tall poppy syndrome with them, because it's like they can be them. They can be hugely successful, probably operate from overseas and not even be anything to do with New Zealand. You don't know them. You have absolutely no relationship with them. And it's like, it's fine for them to succeed. It's fine for me to give up my time and all my resources. And like, I think about Pack and Save and Countdown. It's like how easy it is just to go and shop at Pack and Save and Countdown rather than going to like an Asian grocer or the local butcher just to get your groceries. But that local butcher has a farm, or at least knows someone who has a farm, has relationships with those people. Same with the grocer. Like, they know the farmers. They've got a relationship with the various farmers in the local community that are serving the community.
Yeah.
And yet you're more willing to go for the convenience of just shop at that place rather than, and especially if that dude drives a Mustang.
Yeah.
Or especially if that dude drives a Porsche, and you're like, oh, flaunting a fucking Porsche around. It's like, yeah, but what is the owner of fucking Pack and Save rolling around?
Yeah, they don't even turn up to your neighborhood, mate.
Exactly. It's like, but it's so.
No, you're 100% right with the Pack and Save and Countdown. They've like streamlined the process. They've almost stronghold the farming industry.
Yeah.
Like they can only go to them because they started making them mass produce. So then, which they probably took on more debt. So they took on more land. They, I guess, fertilizer, just all equipment to go and mass produce that. And then only they have the money to buy off them.
Yep.
So like so they were saying, Judith's brother, the average small farm is something like 380 cows, which is like their main farm. And that's considered the average size small farm in New Zealand. Whereas like back in the days, that's what they got now is considered a small farm was a large farm back in the days. So because everyone is just
the scales,
they're scaling up. There are farmer families that own, well, the Peacocks. They're Peacocks developments out there. They own a lot of Waikato. They have a lot of farmland in the Waikato. So and they're probably going to just do the same thing. Like once populations get up around the areas of the land they own, they'll just do another land development.
So
but they keep farming
that side.
So they are, well, and that so
not Peacock's Road in Hamilton or that area.
Yeah, but it's the Peacock farmers. They own it all, like past Raglan land, heaps of farmland. Like they own so much, and that's what they've done. They've acquired all of this land, but that's what it's the same as like Countdown and them. They just you kind of just become unbeatable. Like how are you going to compete against someone? That's something that when you ask that question about like where does business need to go. And the only way we can actually properly survive is because those guys just care about the bottom line. So they have no problem hiring people when times are good, then all of them have no problem firing people as well during the down times.
Yeah, for sure.
Versus you meet an individual business owner, they understand how it feels. They care about their staff, majority of them. I'm not saying all of them do, but I think the odds of us as a collective owning small businesses and caring about our staff are probably a lot higher than, because they've never met them. And they've got thousands of employees. They don't know any of their names. And then when you start having that in such a small country like this, it can become a problem. I think.
For sure. And I mean, like, I know I still reflect and am grateful to have the opportunity to have my own business. Just have the understanding of life as an employee versus an employer, owning your own business, even if the only employer is yourself. But like, just having that kind of what's perceived on the surface as security isn't really that secure. Because anyone, like, and especially get to the larger corporations, and I bet you those larger corporations go through more restructures than small companies do on a yearly basis. And so you feel secure in your job, but yet those companies are always restructuring. Your job is never safe. Inherently, they don't care. Like, it's about the company as a whole, not the individuals within a company. Whereas the smaller you go down, everyone's kind of plays their part within that company in comparison to, I don't know, I've seen so many people go through, and myself obviously going through restructures and things like that. There's a false sense of security that is completely normal even when you own the business. Because when you own the business, you're like, I see that every time the ebbs and flows in either bank account or client calendar or bookings, etc. I can see the ebbs and flows, the highs and lows of business, but you don't see that as an employee.
Well, and you're not expected to as well.
No.
I had a real big problem with the warehouse group, how they had their record high profits during COVID, but they still managed to lay off 25% of their staff.
Hard.
And I think that should be illegal.
Hard.
I think, fuck you. You just broke your record, so you have no justification for laying off the people that help you get to your broken record. You know, like that. I think, are they publicly traded, the warehouse group, or I think they might not be, but they're one of our biggest companies that aren't publicly.
I was gonna say
something like that. So like I think that should not be allowed. Like you just can't do that. For what reason?
Hard.
That's where I think. I don't want to get government involved, but that's why I think government can actually incentivize them. Do you know what I mean? Because they are just caring about the profit line. Whereas if they go, hey, you know, we want to keep people employed, man. We don't want unemployment.
That was meant to be that was the whole gist behind giving people so much money. It was like, we don't want people to lose their jobs because of this. We want to keep them in jobs. So here's this fucking free money.
And thanks, Warehouse just fucking ticked over the best profit ever. Same with Countdown.
That's so interesting as well, because like you look at who is it? Gary's Economics.
Oh yeah,
I think
I've seen and stuff.
One of his lines that he brings up is like, from that COVID time, especially in America, I think it was like everyone should be. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I think it was around 400K for every person. So man, woman, child in America, based on the amount that they gave out. So if everyone got the money that was given out, everyone should be $400,000 richer, but they're not. And the same thing happened in New Zealand, right? Like we gave away a shit ton of money, and I have no idea how much we gave away, and I have no idea.
Probably some rough, quick math. I would say, because we got the grant for Judah, so I would say it was 25 grand, per employee. Maybe. 30 grand, but they probably got subsidized 100 grand, but it had processes and I don't know.
But you think about, so like with
400 grand is nuts.
And if you're getting paid that money, you're then laying people off, so your costs are lower. All of the people that now have extra money, where are they spending it? And the reason you have record-breaking sales is because they're spending it in your store. So they're getting free money, laying people off so their costs are low. That just got free money are giving them the money back. Like, it's a triple feed back into one person's bank account. Not one person, but into one company. For essentially nothing.
Well, I think that guy was talking about American economics, but they had like one of the worst things, because Walmart, Target, all of those big things didn't have to close. So you could still go into those. Like so everywhere got shut down. It's sort of like at least here everything got shut down.
Yep.
And you for food was online pickup only by order or whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's where I think there was a huge shift towards digital. Everything going digital. I think
Definitely.
we had to evolve. I don't know. I feel like that was almost forced, but for them, that was huge for them. So they instantly got rid of the mom and pop store. So all of those businesses are pretty much, I think 90 or 85% of those businesses are out of business now that were direct competitors because they just couldn't afford to pay their leases. And those guys own their buildings.
Yep.
And it's just like you funneled. So these guys, yes, they were behemoths, but they only probably had like 70% and 30% was split across all the small little ones. They went from 70% all the way to 97% going through them.
Yep.
And then how do you compete against them?
Where does that, because even if you're remaining open and you don't own the premise that you're operating out of, well, where does that money go? Like you're getting free money from the government, but that money is having to go to the rent that you're paying. And who's that money going to?
Yeah.
It's like, it's all feeding back to the same big fucker that's just sitting there on his last night with a cash throne. And it's just this big circle. It's like,
what do they call it? It's inflated. That's why the inflation went through the roof worldwide.
Yeah.
Because it was money that wasn't, I guess, created.
Yeah.
It was created, out of thin air, but wasn't earned through product. That's what the world economy is on, a product exchange or service exchange.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh yeah, sweet. Here's 2 billion man hours. Dish that all out to everyone, and then none of the man hours got worked.
I think so. It's the same. I'm pretty sure it was Gary's Economics as well. He has an interesting take on it, where most governments, most financial investors, they almost expect that. So the inflation at that point wasn't really the issue, because pretty much irrespective of who did whether it's left, right, Labour, everyone probably would have done the exact same thing, and they would have taken the inflation. And at that point, they would have taken it on the chin. But it's the processes in place at which where that inflation goes or who it hits, that is where it starts to differentiate.
Yeah.
And I think where it was, especially particularly in America, but I mean, I think you could almost say it was almost universal.
Yeah.
Like anyone who did follow that same system, it ended up in one place. Like it was disproportionate where that money ended up.
What do they call it? The greatest wealth transfer in history.
Yep.
Like there's no amount of money has moved that quickly from middle class to upper class.
Yep.
Like that's what it was.
Yep. And that was one of his lines. It was like, it's no longer coming from lower class to upper class, because the lower class didn't have anything to begin with.
Yeah.
So they're not getting it.
They're already on rations.
Yeah. But ironically, the people that are in the middle feel as though they're in the upper because they're not in the lower.
Yeah.
And so they're playing the game without realizing it.
Well, that's me. Like I was like, fuck, but that's why I have this drive and this, unfortunate for Judith's case, urgency about me. Like she just wants, she was pleading for me to fucking slow down. And because we've got some news, but I'll tell
you're pregnant.
you. No. Fuck no.
He took it serious.
Fuck, I don't know if I'll be telling you on the podcast fucking for the first time, bro. I'll be fucking crying as you're walking in the door, bro. Brother, my pull-out game weak.
It's been in training for years. Finally caught up.
Oh, I can't even remember what I was talking about.
To be fair, I think that's probably a good segue into how the fuck do you deal with the highs and lows of business.
Yeah.